There are numerous reasons to visit modern-day Turkey. It has stunning natural beauty with such diverse landscapes. It has a rich history with many ancient places and is home to some of the world's most iconic historical sites. Such as the ancient city of Troy, to the rock cave churches of Cappadocia, which date back to the early Christian period, where many sought refuge due to the persecution of the Romans. Turkey's biblical history is deeply entwined with accounts from the Old and New Testaments. It is home to several important biblical sites and archaeological wonders, such as one of the most famous, the ancient city of Ephesus. We're in Ephesus, finally, the ancient Roman capital of Asia. It's pretty touristy. It's probably the biggest tourist destination around this area in Turkey. So busy at the moment, peak tourist season, but people everywhere.
Yeah, super hot today, and the sun radiating off the stones is pretty intense, but there's still people here coming for a look because it is just such an iconic historic site. Ancient Ephesus is one of the best preserved Greek and Roman ruins in the world. It's thought to be founded in the 10th century BC and grew into a thriving commercial city as a result of its strategic position and access to important sea routes of the Mediterranean. Alexander the Great liberated Ephesus from the Persians in 334 BC, and it was eventually absorbed into the Roman Empire. It became one of the largest cities after Rome. Ephesus played a vital role in the spread of Christianity, and notable Christians such as the Apostle Paul and John spent time here. So of course Ephesus is mentioned quite a lot in the Bible. The Apostle Paul came twice to Ephesus, first of all with Priscilla and Aquila, a tent-making couple that he worked with, and preached the gospel here in Ephesus. This area here is called the amphitheatre, and it's well known if you can stand up the top and someone stands down the bottom, the person down the bottom speaking will be able to be clearly heard by all the spectators in the back row. Ephesus was second only to Rome as a cosmopolitan centre of culture and commerce. Wealth abounded throughout the city. It's estimated that the population of Ephesus exceeded 225,000 inhabitants. As we walk through the ruins, it's hard to imagine just how big Ephesus was. Today, only 15% of the site has been excavated. It's actually amazing how most of the
structures that have survived the best are like structures that have been built like in honour of people, like it's just like an honorific kind of structure dedicated to someone. It's not like it serves a purpose.
The marble floor, they've got signs out saying caution slippery when wet. Also, I think imagine how slippery it would be when it's wet, because it's slippery dry. It's like, woo, you'll go straight up.
So polished from all the people walking on it.
Yeah, that's right. How many people have walked on this marble over the years, out of 1,000 years? It's mind-blowing to think about how this place was once a thriving metropolis in the ancient world. Just walking down through the streets, it feels like we're stepped back in time. Ephesus was known for its many fountains because of the city's close proximity to natural sources of water, and it was a way to channel and distribute water throughout the city. Fountains also were an important aspect of Roman architecture, serving as a symbol of wealth and power. There were several Roman baths in ancient Ephesus, which were an important part of Roman culture for public bathing and socialising. Today, you can still see the remains of these bath complexes. Public toilets in Ephesus were a reflection of the city's advanced sanitation. They were typically constructed as long rows of stone benches with holes cut into them. There was no privacy, allowing multiple users to sit and chat about their day. The Celsus Library would be the most photographed monument in all of Turkey. You see it in all the pictures when you come to visit Ephesus. This is the facade that was built in 1978. They recreated this after an earthquake destroyed the library back in 270 AD. They're not recreating other parts of it, they're just leaving all of Ephesus as it is. Archaeologists are still unearthing a lot of it, and so much more to still discover and find.
The Library of Celsus was one of the most impressive buildings in Ephesus and was one of the largest libraries of the ancient world. It held over 12,000 scrolls. At the front of the library is the Philosopher's Square, where people would engage in debates with the intellectuals and philosophers who gathered there.
Can we walk through there?
Yep.
Okay, let's go.
It's slippery.
Yeah, I'll get in, I'll take it. It's a bit slippery. Go over this side, this is really gone there.
All very slippery though.
Watch where we're going. Here's some easier steps. I stepped right on the roll of that thing. Okay.
As we walk through the gates of Mosaias and Mithridates, we enter the commercial agora. It was a bustling marketplace in the heart of the ancient city and was a central hub for commercial activities where all sorts of goods were bought and sold by merchants and traders. Right near the commercial agora was the Grand Theatre, which was one of the largest theatres in the ancient world with a seating capacity of around 25,000 people. In fact, it's here in the Grand Theatre that a significant event took place that was recorded in the Bible book of Acts. Because of Paul and the disciples' successful preaching activities in Ephesus, many gave up the worship of the pagan goddess Artemis. This had an impact on local businesses that made and sold the silver shrines of Artemis. So these businesses incited a riot against the Christians and dragged some of them into the Grand Theatre, where the crowd started shouting hysterically for 2 hours, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians." Eventually the uproar subsided and no one was hurt. But for many Christians who've read these accounts in the Bible, it's amazing to actually come and see places like Ephesus, because it really brings the accounts to life.
This was probably one of the largest Colosseums outside of the Roman Colosseum. They used to have gladiator contests here as well, and it filled this stadium. You could see it must have been a thriving city to be able to seat so many people here. And it's amazing, you can hear so clearly. I was up as high as I'm allowed to go. You can hear so clearly the people all the way down there. All the people down there just talking. This area is really prone for earthquakes, and that's why a lot of the monuments have fallen down and they're laying scattered around everywhere. A lot of the columns have all fallen down, but they've re-erected them and secured them in place so that nothing more will fall down. Well, depends how big the earthquake is, I suppose, but yeah. One of the most well-preserved residential areas in Ephesus is the terrace houses. These luxury Roman villas were also called the houses of the rich. The area is covered with protective roofing, which protects these remarkable ruins from constant erosion from the weather. As we walk through the ruins, we're given a glimpse into the everyday lives of the wealthy and influential families of the ancient Ephesians. These houses were lavishly decorated with intricate mosaics, frescoes, marble floors and courtyards. Now, so much detail in these mosaics, what they put in the floor here. Way back then, attention to detail. Even back then they do the old little love heart symbols. Visiting Ephesus allowed us to connect with the past in a way that few other places can offer. It's truly a marvel to walk through the same streets and stand in the same buildings as past Roman emperors and where first century Christians once walked and stood. Our visit to Ephesus was an experience that will stay with us for a lifetime.